Ismail Haniyeh, one of the most senior Hamas leaders, was assassinated in Iran. This was confirmed by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and also by the terror group Hamas early Wednesday morning. This deals a severe blow to the Palestinian terror group and threatens to engulf the region in further conflict. Hamas accused Israel of killing Haniyeh, who led the group's political operations while in exile from Qatar. Hamas made the statement on its official Telegram account. Haniyeh was in Tehran to attend the inauguration of the newly elected president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian. Haniyeh was a key figure in Hamas's stalled ceasefire negotiations with Israel. His assassination makes the prospects for a deal even more unclear. If Iran chooses to retaliate, this will escalate the conflict in ways that either side may not be able to control. If cooler heads prevail, this might just be the opening that Israel needs to move towards a ceasefire and eventually put an end to this war. Israel's military has not officially commented or taken responsibility, simply saying it does not respond to reports in the foreign news media. In recent years, it has carried out a number of high-profile assassinations in Iran, rattling the country's leaders and prompting a security overhaul. As part of that overhaul, there was the ouster of a top security official in Iran's top echelons of its security apparatus. But it was not just the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. On Tuesday, the Israeli military said it had carried out a separate strike on a Hezbollah commander in the southern suburbs of Beirut. The target of that strike, Fuad Shukr, was a senior Hezbollah official who serves as a close advisor to Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. The targeting of these two senior leaders of two Iran-backed groups, and that too within a matter of hours, could be seen as an escalation in the region. And if it were to escalate, it could lead to a wider regional war, which no party wants. Already, the Middle East has been reeling from the 9 months of high tensions since Israel began waging its war against Hamas, after Hamas led terror strikes in Israel, which killed over 1,000 Israelis. It happened on the 7th of October last year. Iran, in response to Haniyeh's assassination, held an emergency meeting of its Supreme National Security Council at the residence of its Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The commander-in-chief of the Al-Quds forces, who oversees the terror network of militias, was also part of this meeting. It is not immediately clear how Iran will respond or whether it will respond at all. Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, takes office facing a major security breach of failing to protect an ally. After all, Haniyeh was a state guest of Iran there in Tehran just to attend the swearing-in of the new president. It also raises questions about the safety of Iran's top leaders who were in very close contact with Ismail Haniyeh even 24 hours before he was assassinated. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had met with Haniyeh on Tuesday. Ismail Haniyeh became the leader of Hamas in Gaza in 2006. He was forced to go to exile to Qatar in 2017, where he was named the group's top political leader. In Gaza, he was succeeded by Yahya Sinwar, who is considered an architect of the October 7th attacks on Israel. In those attacks, more than 1,000 Israelis died and over 240 were taken hostage. In April of this year, 3 of Ismail Haniyeh's sons were killed in an Israeli strike near Gaza City. Israel, in fact, on record, publicly identified the 3 adult sons as Amir, Muhammad, and Hazem Haniyeh, and said that all 3 were Hamas operatives. The last picture of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran showed him visiting a theme park called the Axis of Resistance. This is according to reports in the Iranian media. He was in that picture seen with the leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Ziad al-Nakhaleh, and a group of men who were posing with a model of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the background. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had met with Haniyeh just on Tuesday. A security breach at this high level in Iran also raises questions about the safety of Iran's top leaders who were in close contact with Haniyeh just hours before his assassination. Ismail Haniyeh was one of the most senior leaders of Hamas for the past 2 decades. In recent years, he was running the militant group's political operations from exile in Qatar. On Tuesday, just a day before his death, Haniyeh was in Iran with other senior members of Iran's axis of resistance, which includes Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen, to attend the inauguration of Iran's newly elected president. As Hamas's political leader, he was central to the group's high-stakes negotiations and diplomacy, including the stalled ceasefire negotiations with Israel. Haniyeh was named the leader of Hamas in 2006. That year, he briefly served as the prime minister of a Palestinian unity government. After months of tensions, that unity government was dissolved. It also included an armed conflict between various Palestinian factions. 10 years after that, in 2017, he was forced to go to exile in Qatar. He was named the leader of Hamas's political bureau at that time, and it was also a time when Hamas itself was trying to soften its public image. It was trying to jockey for influence internationally. Haniyeh led Hamas from Qatar as well as Turkey in recent years. Both countries have released statements condemning his assassination. He was among the first negotiators in the ongoing talks between Israel and Hamas that was being mediated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States to try and end the war in Gaza in exchange for hostages captured by Hamas. Haniyeh, along with Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Deif, are the three most important leaders of Hamas, which Israel had said publicly that they will target since the start of this war. While there is no clarity on the fate of the other two, the death of Ismail Haniyeh will be seen both in and by Israel as a big step forward in its stated intent of annihilating the Hamas leadership. But this assassination is not a case in isolation. For decades now, Israel and Iran have fought a shadow war across the Middle East. They've been trading attacks by land, sea, air, and increasingly now in cyberspace. The barrage of drones and missiles which Iran launched at Israel back in April of this year, almost all of them were shot down or intercepted, represented a watershed in this decades-long shadow conflict. It was the first time that Iran directly attacked Israel from its own territory. Iran has largely used foreign proxies, whether it's Hezbollah in Lebanon or the Houthis in Yemen, to strike Israeli interests. It has also targeted assassinations of Iranian military leaders and nuclear scientists, which have been a key part of Israel's strategy. Here's a recent history of this conflict and targeted assassinations or assassination attempts. In August of 2019, an Israeli airstrike killed 2 Iranian-trained militants in Syria. A drone was set off near the Hezbollah office in Lebanon, and an airstrike in Qaim in Iraq, which killed the commander of an Iran-backed militia. Israel, of course, took great joy and immense satisfaction at the assassination of Major General Qasem Soleimani, who was the commander of the foreign arm of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He was killed in an American drone strike in Baghdad, but there were reports at the time that Israel had advance warning about the assassination. In November 2021, Israel killed Iran's top nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, and followed that up with the assassination of a Revolutionary Guards commander, Colonel Syed Khodai, in May 2022. And late last year, Iran accused Israel of killing a high-level military figure, Brigadier General Saeed Razi Mousavi, in a missile strike in Syria. But the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, even though he's not an Iranian citizen, on Iranian soil, marks a sharp escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict. Iran could choose one of two options. Either it chooses not to respond, or responds in a smaller scale so as to give Israel an opening to go back to the ceasefire talks and eventually put an end to this war. But if Iran chooses to see this as a grave provocation, after all, Haniyeh was a state guest of Iran. He was there to attend the swearing-in of the newly elected president, and therefore, if Iran chooses to retaliate in a proportionate manner, this could set off a wider regional war. The costs and damage of this wider war may be incalculable.